what winter tip fishing is all about. Long spells of nothing and short spells of absolute chaos. But it's great fun and I just love it. Is that if I hook into a good fish, it's pretty obvious where it's going to head for. That big bunch of snags there, the tree stumps. Welcome to another fishing tail films. I'm back down by the river. There's about 8 days left of the river season left now, so I thought I'd better make the most of what we've got left and keeping my eye on the river levels. I've come back down to a stretch of river that I've not fished for about 3, maybe 4 seasons now, and I thought it was about time I reacquainted myself. It's a lovely stretch of the river, and I popped down on a few days ago just to have a look, and I'm pleased to say the river's dropped probably sort of 1.5 foot, I reckon, and it's got a nice bit of colour to it. The target today is chub. I've brought some worms along just in case there's a few perch about. It's not as coloured as it was a few days ago, so, and we've had a few frosts. We've had another light frost this morning, so that's gradually been taking the colour out of the water, and if they're about, I'm sure they'll snap up a nice big lobworm. Bait wise, I brought some bread flake with me, a bit of mouldy old cheese paste, some lobworms, some dendrobenas, and a few maggots around as well, so maybe I can tip a lobworm with it. that kind of stuff, just to add a bit of a attraction to the bait, and a bit more, you know, sort of sight fishing as well. Looks quite nice. There's some slacks close in down the edge under my feet. It's a bit of a deep hole from memory, and as you can see, there's a few snaggy tree stumps that have always situated in this swim. It's misty out, the sun is going to come out, and it's probably going to be a really bright day, but let's get the tackle out and let's get fishing. Well, I'm going to be kicking off with a nice piece of bread flake. Just pinch that on the hook like so. I'm going to kick off with a maggot feeder. I'm going to put a few maggots in, and I've also got some liquidised bread as well. And I'm going to see how it develops from then on, and then I can always change over to a small cage feeder so I can put more liquidised bread in. So the idea is to get a few maggots down there as well, just to bring a few fish into the swim, and a few bits of liquidised bread to see if we get those chub feeding. Fingers crossed. Well, my first cast, I put it, just see the trees sticking out in the water there, just sort of short of that, and I've just let it sort of obviously flow down, tightened up onto it, piece of bread on, small little maggot feeder, just to introduce a bit of feed in this swim. I'm going to gradually, slowly build it up with a bit of feed. I don't want to, like, because we're sort of, you know, coming out of winter now, so hopefully fish will have obviously acclimatised to it, although the water's been, like most rivers, have been up and down like a yo-yo. Hopefully we've had a dry spell now for a little while, the water level's dropped, and I'm hoping that the fish have settled back into their swims, and like everything, you don't really know what to expect. But I've had some lovely fish out of this swim in the past, and if I can have one or two of them, then that'll be absolutely brilliant. This may possibly be my last river session of the season, unless I can squeeze one more in. I've had a day off work, so I can come here today. It's midweek, and just hoping that my efforts will be rewarded, so I can show a nice fish to the camera, which is something I always strive to do. It doesn't always happen, that's fishing for you, but I'm here, I'm having a go, and if you don't wet a line, you're never going to know. I mean, that sun at some point is going to come out, which could make it hard when it gets sort of too bright. So I'm hoping that these first couple of hours are going to be the crucial part of the session today. So I've got to try and make the most of this first part of the session. Still misty, but that'll soon burn off. And spring is definitely on its way. Now, tactics wise, brought two tip rods with me today. I'm currently started off with the Corum 11-foot all-rounder with the 3500 switch reel. Got £6 main line, a 3.3 fluorocarbon hook link, and a size 10 hook to start off with, so it can hold a size 8 hook to start off with. It gives me a good chance to hold on to that piece of bread flake that I'm fishing with. And I'm using like a Adrenaline run rig system, which I think I've shown in my last video. It's a nice little simple setup, perfect for today's session. Got a 2-ounce tip. Got a 3-ounce with me if I feel I need to beef it up a little bit. it's just trying to get that first bite. Would be nice if this is going to be my last session on the river for this season until it kicks off again on June the 16th. Would be nice to finish on a bit of a high. Well, there's one obvious thing about this swim that I've got to be careful of, and that is if I hook into kingfisher just whiz past them, is that if I hook into a good fish, it's pretty obvious where it's going to head for. That big bunch of snags there, the tree stumps. So it's going to be a case of hook and hold, get that tip under the water and try and pull the fish away from the snags, because that's where they always go. They make a beeline for that. Well, there's loads of snags there. So it's a fish holding area as well, because obviously it makes them feel safe. But the first battle will be getting that bite in the first place, and then we'll worry about trying to keep them out of the snag, hopefully a bit later. Well, much to my joy, the tip's gone wanging round, and yes, oh, into a lovely chub on the piece of bread. What a fantastic start. That was my second cast of the day. Absolutely brilliant. It's a bit of a chunk as well, this weighing, and it's shown to the camera. Oh, brilliant. Let's put it on the scales. See, it's just a fraction over 4 pounds 4. What a lovely start to the session. I'm well chuffed with that. That's great. Well, there we go. 4 pounds 4. Of bread, flake caught chub. First bite of the day, just the second cast of the session. Let's hope there's going to be more to come. I do hope so. And it's a lively little chap, which is how you want them. Let's pop him back and see if his big brother's out there. But really fat fish, they're always fat around this time of the year, this time of winter. And what a great start to the session. Well, let's get back out. Might be another one waiting. What an absolutely brilliant start to the session. You always hope to get that one early, don't you, when you go fishing, just to think, right, now I've caught that one. The longer it goes on, you start thinking, oh, it's not going to happen, but that's come fairly quick. So really pleased about that. Let's get another bit of bread flake on and see if there's a bit more. I was loose feeding a few little bits of bread as well, just to sort of hopefully to see if there was any about, get them chasing around for the bread, just so that little tap and then it just pulled straight round. No messing about. Let's get back out. It's always nice when what your plan comes to fruition. Well, after that fish on the second cast, all I've had is one little like that. I thought it was going to develop into a proper pull round. I just had a little cast a bit further down the swim, and which I've just repeated again now on a big piece of flake. So I'm just waiting now to see if that develops, and it's kind of typical of what's most winter river fishing is, especially on these tiny rivers, is that especially if you're tip fishing, there's long spells of just sitting there relaxing and willing that tip to move and go round and tempt to bite. So you could have, I know that today, this morning session, the bite has come on the second cast, but that was just a pull round, a little tap and then a pull round out the blue. But it's like long spells of nothing, just sitting there relaxing, have a sip of tea or coffee, and then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. That tip moves, pulls round, and then you got this thumping fish as your rod bends round and you're trying to make sure it doesn't get into any snags. There's just like 2, 3, 4 minutes of frantic action, the heart's pumping, the adrenaline's flowing, and then you net the fish, and then just that sheer elation of, wow, I've just caught a nice fish there. And you take your photo, show it to the camera, and then it all calms down again, and then you're just waiting again for another bite out the blue. And that really, for me, typifies what winter tip fishing is all about. Long spells of nothing and short spells of absolute chaos. But it's great fun and I just love it. Well, it was over an hour ago when I had that chub, and I've just had the one little tap since then. That was probably about 20-25 minutes ago, and I'm just going to recast, have another little go. I'm going to probably cast a little bit closer to that snag, get as near to it as I can, or dare to really, and let's see if because they might be sitting right back closer into the snags. Let's put another big piece of bread flake on. I suppose with the water being a bit coloured, and I know the old chub love the bread flake, but it's a very visual bait as well, so That's the little setup on fishing, nice and simple, very effective. It's caught me a nice chub so far, so be nice just to get one more, really crown it off, but I shouldn't be too greedy, should I? Well, as you can see, the sun has finally won its battle with the clouds and the mist, and it's burnt all the mist away, and or most of it anyway, and is now beaming down on the swim. And as usual, every time you start talking, a plane comes overhead. But anyway, I'll carry on. I've just changed baits. I've gone from obviously the bread flake that caught me that nice chub earlier, and I've put 2 dendrobinas on, tipped it with a small red maggot, and just to see if a little change of bait might produce a bite. I did have a couple of little tiny pull rounds on the tip, but they didn't develop into anything. That was on the bread flake. It may have been fish just sort of brushing through the line. I still think there's fish down there, I really do. I don't believe it's just was just that one chub, and I'll just carry on plugging away and see what happens. Well, I've just had a little wander around to the next bend because the sun there is really sort of beaming down on the swim, and it sort of killed it completely. No little knocks or anything, so I just had a walk round and swim round the corner. Looks really nice, so I'm going to move my gear around and give that an hour or so, and I reckon if I don't catch out of that swim, then I'm probably not going to catch anything else today. So let's give it a go. I might as well. Like I say, the river season to be finished soon, so got to make the most of it. Let's give it a try. Let's go and get the gear. Well, as you can see, I've moved swim now. I've come just round a couple of bends and into this snag fest of a swim. That's what it looks like, and fish, especially chub and perch, will always hang around where there's any features, and because it gives them a safe hideout. So that's why I've chosen this swim. I've got the sun behind me, so I'm sitting quite a way back because I don't want to cast any shadows across the river. And this swim has changed an awful lot to when I last fished it a few years ago. There's obviously a few trees have come down and fallen into the river, but it's created a fantastic looking swim, I must admit. Really natural, and it looks brilliant. So there's like a bit of a slack area, there's a bit of an undertow current because it's sort of tip just come back a little bit there. Just pause for a moment, so I thought it was going to come back and then just swing straight round. I think it's where the current just lifted the feeder. I've got a piece of bread on, some maggots, liquidised bread it in the feeder, just to get a bit of feed down there, like the other swim, and just hoping that there's a chub or two sitting there waiting for me. It's a shame the sun's coming, although we shouldn't moan because we haven't seen a lot of sun of late. It's always been clouds and peeing down of rain. But when you're fishing and the rivers are like this, you just want it to be sort of overcast. You can't have it always, can you? You have to take the rough with the smooth, and I think this year we've taken a lot of rough, I must admit, this season, with the rivers not being in the greatest of sort of condition in fall, sadly. But there you go. So I'm sitting here thinking maybe I should try and squeeze one more session in before the season finishes next week. See if I can sort of slot that in somewhere. But I'll keep an eye on what the sort of overcast conditions are going to be. Like if I can see a day it's going to be overcast, then I think that might be perfect. Obviously early morning, because it don't get light till this time of the year, where in the summer you can get on the banks by about 4 o'clock in the morning, which are times that I love to be by the river really early. But it looks interesting, and fingers crossed I managed to get at least one fish out of there. I'm going to give it an hour and a half, and if I don't do any good, then I'll call it a day. Changing bait now. I'm going to put a little dendrobina on, tip with a red maggot, and a few maggots in the feeder. And just drop it down in front of me in the flow. See if there's anything there. You can tell that spring's on its way. See all the buds there on the trees, and a few wasps floating about as well. Yes, definitely signs of spring. That's really warm now. That sun's come out, burnt all the mist away, and I reckon it's probably 15, 16 degrees. Really warm. Well, unfortunately, no bites out of this swim. So, with the sun there really beating down, I think that's probably the end of any chance of any bites today. But it's been a wonderful morning session. I've really enjoyed it. Had a nice chub, so it's been certainly worth my while having a day off work, coming down the river, and I'll see if I can squeeze in at least one more session. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like, because it really does help YouTube to push the videos out, and if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel, because there's plenty more coming up on Fishing Tail Films. I'll see you again soon, and good luck on your next session.